All right. Happy Monday, everybody. Happy Monday. This is Christal Jordan, and this is from Christal XO. We are doing something different, coming to you live in at noon because I just had to come on and talk about this Real Housewives of Potomac reunion last night. If you guys have been watching the channel, you know Brenda and I did a Team Robyn versus Team Karen a few weeks ago, and that didn't age well. That didn't age well with everything going on. But last night's reunion was highly anticipated, and so I felt like we needed to come on today and talk about the reunion, just to get into this. This is going to be like a 3-part series, and then I believe we're going to be able to hear a one-on-one with Andy and Robyn, going into depth a little bit further, because as everybody knows, Robyn held this information about Juan's infidelity until the reunion, and then decided to share. Actually, she didn't even decide to share in the reunion. She decided to share on social media after. So it just there was just so much going on this season. I felt like we needed to do this in 3 parts. So we had to come on this afternoon and get into this. If I didn't have an event last night, we would have done this last night. So I see Brenda just joined. I'm going to bring her on right now. If you guys can hear me, make sure that you put an XO in the chat. Hello, 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 my lovely.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. I am good. You know what? I wish we could have done this last night, but I had an event last night here in Atlanta, Ministry. Shouts out to Chanel, Scott, and Fox Soul. They did a beautiful relationship. The first season, actually the first episode of the second season of Ministry was filmed in Atlanta last night. So I was there but otherwise I definitely would have been on here last night talking about the foolishness. The shenanigans from Real Housewives of Potomac. Hey, Kay. Thank you so much for that X. So if you guys can hear us, make sure that you put an XO in the chat. Brenda and I were texting briefly last night. Hey, private person, thank you for joining. I know we're coming a little bit earlier in the day, and actually I still have reality check with Jonique from Ready to Love later tonight. But right now it is all about the ladies in blue, all about the Real Housewives of Potomac. the beginning. This is just the beginning of the reunion. Overall, Brenda, what were your thoughts of this first episode, this introduction to the reunion this season?
I thought that it was a good kickoff to the reunion. This is probably one of my favorites outside of, I think, season 5.
Yeah.
When Monique had the binder.
Yes.
It was a good start.
But I feel like because I didn't see a binder, but I did see a bedazzled box.
Everyone tries to do that whole like receipt expose situation, since Monique did so seamlessly, and may I add, very organized as well. It always fails. Like last season, didn't Wendy come with like a large 16 by 24 cutout, and we were just like,
yeah, so it was like the cutout like that.
Yeah, so you can't do it, but yeah, it's worth a try.
I am interested to see what's in the bedazzled box. That was just funny. Hey, Terry Holloway, if you guys are joining.
Actually, because Mia has a history of lying or embellishing. So maybe this will prove that she's telling the truth about something.
I wouldn't count on it. I wouldn't count on Mia to be telling the truth about anything. But what I will say about Mia before we get started is she is a very pleasant, she's a sociable liar, because she does lie. It's very clear that she's lying, but she just has she's good natured about it. So she's a cordial liar.
And she'll admit that she was lying too. Well, it's all counterproductive. Right?
I don't even know where to start, because there was so much that we learned. This started out. Let's start with the seating chart though, because a lot of people were making a big deal about how the ladies were seated. And I want to ask you, do you think, I know that, Karen was right next to Andy, on one side. And a lot of people felt like, I saw from the comments last night, that this was Candace reunion. She reigned supreme. I think that you actually mentioned that to me last night. You're like, is this Candace's moment? I think she was actually the most beautifully dressed. But I wasn't upset with
the pictures that she posted. Didn't do her justice either. She looked absolutely gorgeous.
I think this is my favorite look for Candace ever. I feel like this was my favorite look for her. I feel like a lot of times, and I feel like there must be a genre called like reality star, Real Housewife makeup
and wardrobe, because it's like, where the hell are they finding these like
it's really
updated prom dresses?
Yeah, it's really heavy. It's a lot of contour, and so I think that she's a naturally pretty girl. I don't think she needs as much makeup as she wears, but I like the entire look, even the blonde streaks in her hair. I thought she looked beautiful. I think she looked the absolute best last night. Like you said, the dress looked better on video than it did in pictures.
Yeah, because in pictures, because she's so small, so in pictures it looked like she was being swallowed up.
Right.
But when she sat there and she had the dress flattened out on each side, I guess you can
spread out, right.
Out on each side, she looks gorgeous.
Yeah, she did. I also thought hey Kevin, thank you so much for joining us. You guys are just joining, make sure you put that XO in the chat so we'll know that you can hear us and the sound is great. I thought that I liked Wendy's dress, but I will say that I still feel like ever since getting her body augmentations done, Wendy, like, it was like the titty was like on I'm just like, it's too much. Like, it's like, I want to show you that I got my body. I want to show the entire new, what does she call them? She had a name for her. Happy and Ness. She wanted to show, I'm just like, okay, it's a lot. It's a lot. I didn't like Ashley's bob. I thought that
Ashley looked a hot ass mess. I don't even know if I can curse, so a hot mess. I apologize for cursing, but
no, you're fine.
I was so irritated by Ashley's look, because on TikTok and in her Instagram post, she has really tapped into her ethnic side, to her Black side. She's been doing it up with her wardrobe, and her hair has been great. And then you get to the reunion and you have this ill-fitted bob. It was not cute. It didn't do her like facial structure any justice, because we all know that Ashley has a big has a big forehead, and the wig was like either pushed back, and I didn't like the part was like all the way near
I
her
didn't
ear.
like
The
parts.
dress was absolutely horrendous. Like the cutouts were misappropriated, and her like the boobs, the this portion
Yeah.
was ill fitted. Like
It was not.
they weren't. She didn't take a note from Wendy at all because they were
She,
not sitting up. I don't know who did that for Ashley, or like who like on her team was like, yeah, girl, you look amazing. Like you're killing it, because she was
yeah,
not. She was the absolute worst.
she looked rough.
And she always falls flat in reunions for me, except for last season. I thought she looked pretty. She did look like a little Barbie doll.
She
But
did.
other than that, she looked horrible.
It was bad, and I think Ashley's a naturally pretty girl. It's hard. She worked really hard to mess that up. Like I don't
Yeah,
understand how she did. I mean, she's got beautiful hair. Why would you put
she
on it
could
looked like
do it.
a lace front?
No, she
Why?
could have done her naturally curly situation
Yeah.
with a strapless dress and been simple and fine. I don't know who styled her and who gave her the okay. Like she looked in the mirror and she said yes, because I did not like that at all. When it was hard to take the focus away from her forehead too, because it's so exposed.
I didn't even
Like
like the
the bag,
color.
the color,
The
the
color
it
was
was
like
very much like a wig that her mom Sheila would wear. Her mom always has a horrible wig and an eye patch
it
and
did.
like
It did.
desert jeans. And I'm like, she got this from her mom's wig collection. It was so bad.
It was really bad. And like I said, Ashley's really pretty, so that was rough. It's ironic because she did not look the worst. I felt like Giselle it looked the worst. I don't know what and this is the thing. I mean, we all know, hey Kim, hey Vonnie, we all know Giselle and Ashley both are naturally beautiful women. I don't know what is happening to where when we come to these reunions, women that are naturally pretty are trying to take the naturally pretty away and do something different. That's really strange. Giselle,
I thought Ashley looked worse than Giselle, which is hard to
no,
do.
no, Giselle's dress. I couldn't, and then her hair looked like she had gotten, how you know how you brush your hair in the morning and just twist it up to put your makeup on?
Mm-hmm. It
That's
looked
what her
like
hair looked like to me. Like I said, Giselle has to work really hard not to look absolutely stunning. And somehow she did. That dress, that looked like Cookie Monster bedazzled. Now, I know Andy mentioned that he thought, hey, Elaine, he thought that that Candace would be referenced to Cookie Monster, but I thought Candace's dress, it was a lot and she's small, but it looked beautiful.
yeah,
Giselle, that it was coming, and then the lines of bedazzled across, it
yeah.
was
It was
gorgeous.
giving like first lady of like what
Not
church?
first
Small
lady. It wasn't even first lady. Like, I'm not even gonna do the first ladies like that. That it
like
looked like
old school first ladies, like the first ladies we grew up with, not the first ladies of today, not the Megan Goods.
right,
Okay,
right.
it
Well,
was very much like Beulah Baptist Church in South Carolina.
I just hated it. I hated it. I thought the color was harsh. I thought the um I thought the lines of bedazzle were not right. I thought the hair was horrific. And like I said, Giselle is, I think, probably one of the most beautiful women on the entire franchise. It's very strange.
I didn't mind her hair. I think this is actually one of her best hair looks at the reunion, because
Really?
she always wears a horrible wig with no part, like no natural part,
Yeah.
or like the colors are bad, anything like that. So I didn't mind the hair. I thought that it looked more natural, at least, than
Mm.
what we have seen in previous reunions. But the hair and the turtleneck and the long sleeves and the there was no slit on the dress and the gloves. I don't know.
I
Again, maybe
feel
the
like
same person who styled her styled Ashley.
if some stylist is missing an opportunity to get a hold of these ladies from Potomac. Vonnie, I did not miss that Karen's bun was very
Yeah,
okay. First of all, I saw that. It's almost like they twisted it and then they just tucked this piece of hair was tucked up and it was just sticking out, almost like you
yeah,
twisted it and it was left over.
yeah. There was no bobby pin
That
situation.
was that was horrible. I thought Karen's dress looked really good on her. Um, I just thought the makeup was a little bit harsh. And I feel like the hair, because like I said, there was that one piece that was just kind of sticking out. But overall, Karen, she still wasn't down there with Ashley and Giselle. I mean, her dress was immaculate. And actually the pictures of her on Instagram were flawless. Like that
Yeah.
hair came out, and I don't know why they
I
didn't
just
fix
didn't
it.
like her hair.
Her hair was not great. And then also, like I said, I feel like it's too much makeup on these women that are really beautiful women. We don't need all of that. You know what I mean? It's just softer. That's just my opinion. It could be that I'm, outnumbered, because obviously this is what happens every time any Real Housewives do a reunion. Everybody has on like 8 layers of makeup, but I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
The only thing I didn't like about Karen, aside from her hair, and Mia, is that when they sat down, they had like this mesh portion, like this new mesh portion
Yes.
to their dresses, and I didn't feel like that was they needed that. So if there would have been a way to do without the mesh, I think that it would have been better, because every time they sat down, it like scrunched up, or every time they moved, you know what I mean? Like it.
Well,
You,
Mia actually just said, "Let my nipples show." She just pulled her because she was having trouble with the mesh, and
Mhm.
because it almost like it was like choking her.
Yeah.
It was weird. It was weird. Um, but yeah, I thought Mia's, she's gonna do her own thing, but she was just like, at this point, just let the nipple show. She was tired of like rearranging him. I thought Mia and Robyn just looked mediocre.
I mean, Robyn always looks mediocre, so.
At least her hair was. I liked Robyn's hair. I liked Robyn's hair. And Mia actually usually comes. Mia, I liked her looks for most of the confessionals this season, so I was surprised to see she didn't really
Okay.
pull it together with a great look. But let's get into the actual show. First of all, Ashley situation. One of the opening conversations was about Ashley dating Luke from what is it?
Summer house or winter
Summer
house?
House, right? Yeah, and well, I think, and then the other guy that Giselle was dating. So
It's probably winter house, yeah.
Ashley's dating this younger guy. She actually said she fell in love with the guy. However, she also said that when Michael, messed up the date, came home, and she had to go ahead and start, kick the guy out. The guy had to leave because Michael came back with the kids. This whole divorce from Michael, but I'm not getting any money, but I still need to get the money. Like it's very strange to me. And I felt like I didn't really understand. She mentioned that she was dating this guy, and then during the break, she mentioned that I guess he didn't live up to her what she thought he was. They had gotten into an argument, so she doesn't
Mhm.
think they're still going to be able to mend things. But to me, it's like, how could you fall in love with someone else when you're still very much connected to Michael? Even if it's not, I just don't think that she's 100% done with him. I don't. I also feel like her acknowledging that she's not going to really get any extra money. She's going to get child support for 2 children, and Michael obviously is loaded, so she's going to be fine. But I think that's a way for her to stay connected to him. I think that's a way for her to be like, well, I have to, because I didn't get this money, and I didn't get what I thought I was going to get. I also
He's definitely using that to his advantage.
Right.
She said that she can't. I mean, I don't know what would provoke her to get a $13,000 mortgage in the first place.
Right.
Um, I've never heard of that. Obviously, I know that there are $1 million homes and multi-million-dollar homes
That's
and things
still that's
like that.
multi.
But if
That's
you cannot afford it on your own, there's no reason she should have gotten that house at all. If you truly want to be, I am of the belief that, I mean, but this is just me. I've never had to lay on my back for to live.
Mhm.
Thankfully, and I pray that no other woman will really have to do that, because clearly it's not worth it.
Right.
Um, if you if you really want to be done with people, like there are people who have 2 children like Ashley, who when they're done, they leave with nothing. And
Right.
the fact that she is so dependent upon this man's money, it's like, what have you been doing for the last 8 years? She said in the season, that she doesn't pay for anything.
Right.
She's getting a check from the show. We all know the husbands on the show don't get paid. So Ashley's been on the show since season 1. This is season 7. She got to be making at least $500,000-$600,000 a season. She has to be. She hasn't started any businesses with this platform. All that money that she was mom on the side, she should have been putting up in a bank account like Shawnee O'Neal did when she was prepping to leave Shaq. Like, what have you been doing this whole time? Now, all this time we've been sitting here waiting for Ashley to get a divorce because we know she's doing this the right way. If it's anything we thought Ashley would be good for is getting money out of Michael. Clearly, she's failed us on that.
Right.
She clearly failed us on that. What is the point? You done laid on your back and sucked old balls and licked vaginas and done all these things that you have not wanted to do in order to sustain your lifestyle with this old, decrepit sexual predator. And you walk away with child
support. I mean, you know what? I feel like there was a viewer that actually asked a question about why the timing, because I don't really buy the fact that she's just not willing to do threesomes anymore now. I don't buy that. I think Ashley is bisexual. I think that she enjoys that. I think she's done her time with Michael and she's over it, which I didn't expect her to stay with him very long anyway, because that age gap is just too much. And with the fame that she has, she's aware that she can do a lot different when it comes to men. She can get another old rich man that looks better than Michael that's not a sexual predator. But I do think that I felt like her parents or her family or somebody, a friend, somebody around her was giving her advice. Obviously, that person was not giving her the right advice because
she wasn't listening to Uncle Lon.
She was not right, but she was listening to somebody because she did pop out the second child very quickly, right?
And she was very young. Aren't they like 3 and 1.5?
Yeah, they're like stair steps. So I do feel like she was strategically doing that. And when she had the second child, when she got pregnant, they weren't in a great place. When she got pregnant the second time, they weren't in a great place. And so I think most people were like, okay, she's trying to solidify the bag, right? She's trying to make sure that she has it was all laid out. However,
and like I said, I wasn't mad at her. I said, if this is what you're going to do with this old man, then please get something out of it. This is a whole, when Anna Nicole was with that old man, and she didn't get anything out of it.
She didn't, but she fumbled the bag. Anna Nicole was not smart either.
Ashley's not smart either. We learned that yesterday. I'm so disappointed.
Bonnie says the house is an investment for Michael. It's not even in Ashley's name.
No, it's in his LLC. She explained it throughout the season. And then I was also very confused because if anyone has watched this show from season 1, remember when they did that trial separation, or she left their penthouse to sublease an apartment. I should have known she was not that smart then. And then when she moved back, they amended the prenup. You remember that?
I forgot about that. It's almost like it got worse because
they amended the prenup. He said that he was not going to take care of her mother anymore, but because she signed the prenup in good faith, it wasn't a prenup. They basically the way that he put it, clearly he lied. The way that he put it was that like the prenup would be null and void, and they would do a postnup, which would basically promise her X amount of dollars or a large settlement if she stayed for an additional 5 years. So that's why the viewer wrote in that letter or question to Andy, like, the 8 years is up, you have the 2 kids, because they had split up initially at the 3-year mark. This is the 8-year mark. So if she stayed that extra 5 years, she would be entitled to half of his assets. Meanwhile, she doesn't even know what his assets are, what he's worth, or where the money is to begin with. You don't know where the man's money is. You don't have his bank account information. You don't know his social security number. Ashley's dumb.
My bad. I don't think Ashley's as stupid as she's acting though. I think there's a lot to the story that she's not disclosing, because that doesn't make any sense for them to be together that long. And if you remember when they first got together, she was very much involved, like, the restaurant. She was very much into the business. I don't believe that she doesn't have any idea what's going on. I think that that she made some stupid mistakes, but I also think that she thought that she was going to outsmart him, and he outsmarted her.
Yeah, he got her with the gotcha
Yeah,
because
and I think a lot of women think that, a lot of young, beautiful women think that they're going to get this old man, and the man is going to be so overwhelmed by her beauty that they can just outsmart him, get the kids, and get out and have this lifestyle. And it doesn't quite work that way. And I think this is a prime example of that. Like now she's, sitting here crying like, I got to raise these children and I don't understand. Well, the entire time I never felt that it was a genuine relationship. It was definitely on his part BS, because this was a young, beautiful girl that he could do some, play out his sexual fantasies with. And in the same token, she felt like he was going to be this, really, really naive older man that was overcome with her.
And she wanted as well.
Exactly. So I don't, I think it didn't work out in her favor, but I think it's a cautionary tale to younger women out there that are trying to do that. Make sure, if that's what you want to do, like, I'm with you. That's never been my aspiration. But if you are going to do that, at least be smart about it and make sure that the situation is going to go in your favor. And you have to just be blunt and figure out exactly what you want, what you're able to do, what you're able to put up with, and then make sure that you're going to be protected, because Ashley fumbled the bag and looks crazy on national television now.
With that big. And I 100% disagree that Ashley is smarter than we're giving her credit for. I don't think that she is. I really don't, because even when you mentioned the whole business situation, the reason that she like left Michael the first time all those seasons ago was because of their conflict with running the business.
Right.
She was running it to a certain level. Michael made all of the final decisions. She couldn't do anything without Michael's approval.
Right.
At all. Like Michael really had control over the whole situation. Even when it came to, her mother, like basically he told her the marriage was going to be over if he kept, helping her mother out. That's why she had to keep her mother out of the townhome.
But the reason I'm saying that, the reason I say that is because of even what El Michelle says. Every time we see a scene with Ashley, she's crying broke, right? So if you listen to Ashley, it sounds like she's not even making money from the Housewives. Like, it sounds like she's absolutely destitute. I don't know how I'm going to take care of my children. It's like, girl, you
yeah, she's not broke. She's not broke like that.
She's
like
not. She's
like the everyday person. But I guarantee you, the income that she has is from this show. What else is Ashley doing?
She's not doing anything else, but I feel like the situation with Michael, she's trying to make herself look like a victim on television more than she actually is. And that's why I said I don't feel like she's as stupid as she's trying to make it look. She's trying to play the damsel in distress card, and I just don't really buy it to that extent. I think, yes, she probably, she's obviously not as smart as she thought she was, but I think that's her strategy now, is to make herself look like this, oh my God, he took advantage of me, but yet I'm still holding on, and I'm still in this house, and I have to be in a $13,000 a month house. Like, it's just not adding up to me.
No, it's definitely not adding up. So I agree with you there. I think that she is dragging out the divorce. She said that she can file in February. It's February 20th. So
right.
She should be filing at this point. I think that she is working with her attorney to try to find some type of miss language, or whatever the word is, some type of language that she can get around in the prenup or the postnup. Whoever the attorney is definitely needs to do some more digging into his financials, because whether or not they signed a prenup or not, you should still be able to investigate that a little bit further. Like,
and that doesn't make any sense.
Nobody's prenup is that ironclad. That's not like
divorce. There's no divorce. That's another thing. And even what Karen said to her last night, as someone has gone through a divorce, there is no way that there's not some money that Michael accumulated during the 8 years they were married that she's not entitled to. That makes no sense. There's no way that that's possible. That's not, and that's why Karen was like, no, that doesn't make any sense. Everybody knows that, yes, he could say with the prenup that everything that he was able to earn prior to the marriage belongs to him, and she didn't have any rights to that. A lot of prenups start that way, because that's a man's way of saying, hey, are you sure you want to be here for me? But there's no way, with them having 2 young children, that a prenup or divorce decree could come out to say that she's not entitled to anything. That's Ashley crying damsel in distress, and it's not true. It doesn't make any sense.
Her explanation didn't even make sense when she said that the reason she wouldn't be entitled to the money is because
He invested it.
The source of the money.
Now
Like
she said he invested
it makes sense.
girl, please. That's her plan. That's her crying wolf, and we'll see. I mean, it's going to play out to next season, but this wide-eyed, oh my god, I'm distraught. I'm not buying it. But other than that, I don't feel like, Ashley had a lot going on this season aside from trying to be a little bit, starting stuff with different people. This whole situation with her and Michael and her divorce and her dating other people, because we didn't even really see a lot of that this season.
And I think that's strategic too. She doesn't want to piss Michael off.
Well, she doesn't. I'm telling you, she's dragging out this idea that she's this, she's distraught and she doesn't know what to do. She wants to keep getting money from him, stay in his good graces, but appear to the public like, to get the public sympathy. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. But if you guys are just joining us, we are, of course, recapping last night's intro to the first episode of the Potomac Real Housewives of Potomac reunion. It definitely got off to a great start. We're just talking about Ashley. And speaking about Ashley, we kind of have to move into Giselle, because Giselle didn't have a lot going on this season either.
Giselle never has a lot going on.
She doesn't. And Giselle manages to be on the outskirts of everything, right? But I was really glad to see Candace stick to her guns. To me, the best scene of last night's reunion was when Giselle apologized, because she's quick to do that. Giselle, if you back her into a corner, she gives up. She's not a fighter. She doesn't stand behind her words. She will easily back down and apologize. And so she apologizes to Candace for basically saying that Michael made her feel uncomfortable and was sexually aggressive towards her. And Candace told her to take her apology and stuff it up her behind. And I thought Chris, I thought it was absolutely, I actually applauded Candace. Usually I feel like Candace is a little reckless, but I feel like she was definitely 100% right in that. There's one thing to talking about someone whose husband you feel like is actually cheating on them or whatever. If anyone she should have been talking about, it was her BFF, Robyn, whose man was out. And I'm sure Giselle knew all about that. But for her to suggest that Chris was sliding in her DMs, was trying to talk to her and complain about Candace, like, she said a lot that wasn't true, trying to play into this storyline.
The one thing I love about Candace reminds me of a good journalist. Okay, she forgets nothing.
Right.
And I've never not been a fan of Candace, but I couldn't always stand by some of her actions or some of her rebuttals, because I do feel like even though she doesn't start stuff, sometimes she just finishes it too harshly. It's like, damn, you didn't have to do all of that. But I love the fact that she literally can sit back, stay calm, and just spew out the facts, because she literally backed Giselle into a corner when she listed off, these are the things that you said that alluded to you accusing him of sexual misconduct or sexual assault. Giselle couldn't say anything.
That was messed up. It was, and it really, like, I understand that there's a certain amount that they have to do for the show in order to keep the storylines going. They all do it. Every single woman on this cast is with the BS, right? They're all with the shits. But to the point where you're accusing someone's husband of being aggressive towards you sexually, like, as we all know, this in this climate, that could cause him to lose business. That could cause him to be canceled. That could cause, that's taking it too far. And Giselle was fine doing that.
And the thing about it that made the whole thing, like, she just does it so casually too. Like, and I love the fact that Candace pointed out that one specific thing, because that's always been Giselle's problem to me, is that, she has this pretty privilege where she thinks that every man who is kind to her wants her, when in reality, you're not even likable. So no, Chris don't want you.
He does not.
He wanted to probably talk to you because his wife probably was getting on his nerves, or to try to like, reel her in, because once Candace gets to going, he can't even really calm her down.
He cannot.
So he's probably looking for aid, in that way, because Candace and Giselle were close. So for you to take that and spin it in that way, and then for you to actually think that you were going to be able to get away with it, is what's funnier to me, because production pulled the okie doke.
Yeah, which is interesting because we know that Giselle is one of the executive producers on the show. So
Mhm.
I love the fact that they still made her stand in her BS, right? And they showed that. I don't think we've ever seen her. I mean, she's done things, like I said, she'll always apologize for it, but this at this point, I think Candace holding her to the fire and then production showing the the
The
the
footage.
the footage, and it's like just ridiculous. You're just lying. You're lying. I do think that Giselle has what everybody has referred to, and I think her conversation with Andy talked about her having pretty privilege, and she came off actually well in that conversation. Well, actually, it was with Carlos King. She came off really well in that conversation, but the fact that she always feels she can suggest that is a problem to me. This was like really low. I don't really care when they go back and forth with little things, but when you accuse someone's husband of that and then try to fan the flames with other situations and saying, yeah, he slid into my DMs and he slid into Ashley's DMs, like you're trying to break up the only solid marriage that's on the show. And
And even
that's
the whole DM thing, when they actually showed the DMs,
it was not a
it
DM.
was completely innocent.
It
It
was
was like,
yeah.
I think Ashley posted a photo of her at a bar, and he's like, "Why didn't you come to the W?" He
Yeah.
works with the W. He's the
Yeah.
general manager of the W.
And I
That's
don't even think it was in the DM. It was like she was live and
yeah. It's like he responded to the story or
yeah,
something.
he responded to the story and was like, "Why didn't you guys come there?" And I really feel like, I feel like Chris. I don't feel like he will anymore. I feel like this season is definitely going to change the tone and the dynamic. But I feel like up until now, he does try to be like a peacemaker, right? Because he'll try to be like the voice of reason when Candace is going off and try to make peace with the other
Mhm.
women. But I
Yes,
think
and against Candace, which I think
right,
I 100% agree with you that this is a hard lesson that he needed to learn, and I'm
yeah.
happy that he learned it because I've never liked the fact that he's gone against Candace and have tried to apologize to Michael, and
I think he was just trying to keep the peace, and I get it. But you're right. He learned a hard lesson, and so now there's going to have to be the two of them against. You got to come in here like we are each other's back, and I got your back, you got mine, and we're going to come in here and realize everybody's trying to take us down. Because, like I said, really, they are to me. Because I'm not going to count Karen and Ray as a solid relationship because I don't buy that relationship. But I
or and Gordon. I guess we can say Wendy and Eddie, but we don't know too much about
Wendy and
them.
her husband, yeah, Wendy and her husband, and Candace and Chris, to me, are the only solid couples on this show. And I feel like the other women, I feel like this cast makes it clear that they feel validated by relationships. And so I feel like that could be a reason that they all came after Candace's relationship this season. I love the fact that she stood strong and looked even better than ever defending it. But just wrapping up Giselle, I also think it was weird that Giselle would be dating a reality star that is 36 years old, and bragging about it. That just felt weird to me. It's like, she's obviously a beautiful woman and can have probably most, most men that a man that she would want. Why she would choose a 36-year-old reality winter house star is just that is attractive. And Andy was like, "Oh, you guys will make a pretty picture," and she was like, "I think so." I'm like, who's talking like that at 52 years old? Like, she
Well, I think that it goes back to what we discussed previously about her not even being likable. No, and I believe I watched Carlos King's recap last night,
I did too.
and he made a really good point where he said no man of a specific age of a specific job, like no man of substance wants to be a part of this reality show. And when you have someone like Giselle, who is like the ringleader of all of this BS, they don't want to be shown in that light. So her options of a relationship that she can show would be slim, right?
That's
So
true.
it would have to be another person that's in the public eye, and probably specifically in the reality television space, because that's so specific and your lives are so exposed. No, I don't think that any man in their 50s or late 40s who like really has something to lose, who's like really about their business, who really wants a relationship, of, like I said, of substance, wants to do this out loud on reality television. So
I think that a man would. I think a man that is in his late 40s or 50s, if he felt Giselle was genuine, would. I feel like the problem is, you're coming in with wanting a storyline more than you're actually wanting a real relationship. And I
And she
feel, I definitely feel like there are men that are not in entertainment, right? That are very well off, that would absolutely be head over heels for a woman of Giselle's like social status, if she was genuinely wanting to be in the relationship and he was like, okay, well, this is a part of being with her, but there's something substantial here. I think the fact that there's nothing, she's not trying to find something substantial, she's trying to make a storyline. And I think men pick up on that. I feel like a man with something to lose doesn't care about a storyline, but if it's a woman that he's actually in love with, I think he would be okay being on the show. And I think that's where we have the disconnect, because I've worked reality TV shows, and a lot of men, they know you're going to try to play them, and they're not going to do it. But if it's actually a man that you're actually have a real solid relationship with, and that's just a part of it, and he really loves you and you treat him really well, I think he would be open to it. So I think it's just that Giselle is not willing to make that commitment for whatever reason. And so we see her playing. It's like a boy toy. Like, I don't know. I was disappointed to hear that, because I was like, so she doesn't, because I think she would be a lot nicer if she was in a different place in her life, right? If she had her own,
she was happy.
right? If she was happy, then she wouldn't have to. I mean, this going after other people's husbands and being catty and all that is just a sign that you don't really have anything going on in your own life that is substantial. And that whole situation with Jamal, no, no, no. So no. Yeah, but I just that was pretty much it with her. I think that she just does things to start trouble and to stay on the show. But maybe if she would just stop, just let her guard down. And I think we're going to see her let her guard down a little bit more, because her and Robyn are being forced to. But it is Michelle says she's all surface. It's all surface. And I think at 52, all surface is a problem. When you're in your 20s and you're all surface, okay, because you still got people give you a pass. 52 years old, you've been here, you have some experience under your belt. There's really no excuse for you to be all surface. If you haven't figured out how to be comfortable in your own skin by this age, that's a problem. So
you also mentioned something a few weeks ago though too, where you talked about that Giselle typically like dates for status. So it is odd that she would choose the Winter House guy.
It's very strange. I think it's just because he's a pretty guy. He looks good. Like which is lame for a woman of her, status to do. It just doesn't make any sense. Like the guy that she was with before, Sherman, he was totally opposite. Like it was
She doesn't have a type, for sure.
She doesn't. She doesn't. That just proves that, like, a lot of women think, if a woman looks like that, she can have any man she wants, and she doesn't have an issue with men. Obviously, there are still issues. There are still issues. Speaking of issues, we have to move on to Mia. Moving on to Mia. Brenda. All right. Mia was confronted last night. It started with the rumors of her allegations of potentially having cancer, and then also her new allegations that her brother-in-law stole the company from her and her husband. Mia's a liar. Mia's just a liar. I think she lied about even her explanation to the cancer scare, which it's really unfair, because I feel like when you use a disease like cancer, and then obviously she caught Wendy saying Wendy is fake. Okay. I like Wendy, but she's fake. Wendy's like, giving her all this counsel. And then, the cameras later, she's like, she's lying. I know she's lying.
Yeah. As I said, I just think that Wendy is better than this show. Like
she is, but she wants to be here. Yeah. So we have to hold her to the same standards, because Wendy wants to get down and be a part of this. So Mia's a liar. And when you use something like that and try to shame people for calling you out on your lies because it's cancer, that's kind of unfair, because that's not a subject that really should be played with. I think it's really inconsiderate to people that are dealing with cancer diagnoses that are everywhere. I know so many people that have dealt with it. I myself have dealt with it.
One of my high school classmates just passed away from cancer, 32 years.
It's
not
not
to joke about or to use for a storyline at all. It's not.
not at all. So I think that's kind of hard to,
based on that.
yeah.
It should be something in the in their contracts, like storylines you cannot use. Come on,
Yeah.
how do we go from cancer to a rash? I am so confused.
It was like body, because I got plastic surgery. And it was like, yeah, I think there should be some stipulations that playing with that type of seriousness because of what it can do to other people is not good. Now, I don't even know. She got caught up in her lie last night. It wasn't even funny. It was just like, where is this going? Where is she going? Because
which lie though? The one about the cancer or the one about the finances?
Well, the cancer, yes, we talked with that was ridiculous. But the finances, she was trying to explain how the company that she claimed she was CEO of, and that she was managing partner and a board member, was taken away from her and her husband. So first she presented it like it was her husband and his brother. Then there were 3, then there were 8, then there were 7. It was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. And again, I feel like there has to be some type of accountability on behalf of the show to actually say, okay, if we're going to go with this, you have to be able to prove it. From 3 to 7 to 8 people on the board, April says, from to not being the CEO, to being the CEO, to being the majority owner, to being a board member, a managing partner. It was just.
Oh, I just love when she said, well, if you don't understand business, then you don't understand business. That's on you. Mia, you don't understand business. You don't even understand what you're saying.
She would not pick a lie. She did not expect, I guess she didn't expect to be held with that, because she writes these long posts on Instagram. And most people buy it. Most people swallow it, I guess. But when Andy actually questioned her, she just had nowhere to go. And it was embarrassing. I was just like,
yeah. I don't think she prepares herself for follow-up questions. I think she thinks that this is what I mean. I think that she thinks that Andy is going to ask her one question and she has that answer scripted. Mm-hmm. And then when she's asked a follow-up question where she has to go more into detail, she can't do it.
And I think she likes to she gives a little flip. She's very flip, and she says something cute, a little smart remark, and then she expects you to move on.
Yeah. Yes, she does.
It's ridiculous.
It's difficult for people who don't understand how businesses work, how boards work, because there are certain things that she was saying that are true. I worked at a nonprofit. There was a CEO who was also a part of the board. I was on the executive team. I was a part of the board. Mm-hmm. There were 12 board members at this nonprofit, and the CEO was voted out. So those things do happen, but she doesn't know how to explain that. There was a reason why he was voted out. And that's what we are trying to get to with Mia. Why were you voted out, Mia?
Well, we probably, part of why she was voted out lied in the second part to that, with all the rental properties. And I just had a question for the chat and you, Brenda. I have only heard of people refer to rental properties as properties they own.
They own and they rent out.
That they're renting out for the income and the revenue stream, right? So for her to say that we were renting a huge property here, and then renting 2 other properties because we live by coastal, but it wasn't on the coast.
Girls, what is it? A state away? 2 states away. If you're in Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina.
Yeah. Bless her heart. But I was just like, what? Rental properties? That's not the correct way. We're renting properties is not, we have rental properties. So
I don't even know if she meant that they own the property and they were
on the off season. She said they were renting because Andy made it clear. So you all were renting that very large property here. And she said yes. And then she said we were also renting we're renting properties in North Carolina and someplace else. And she said that they had to because they live so many different places. But to me, the whole mystery,
hotels. Because you're not there. Girl, Girl, what?
Scamming 101. It just feels like scamming. I'm sure, you know, Jen Shaw is going to prison for 6.5 years. I would really not be surprised later to hear, because the Joint Doctor is a really reputable business, right? I don't know if they were using that business as a front for scamming or something, but I just have a feeling, I have a sneaky suspicion that this is not the end of us hearing about Mia and G's business practices. Because that's going to continue to go. Because think about it, when you're on television and they're so bold with talking about the fact that you're opening up these practices and you have all this, you know, all these businesses that are that are public record, it's easy to check. So
Yeah.
I don't know why too much.
The moment she said that she was bringing in $40,000 a month, I was like, she should not have said that.
Mm-mm, mm-mm. I was
And
surprised that they would.
we don't have any other income coming in outside of this show. We're living off of our savings. I
Yeah.
always think it's when I saw that she was living in that, because she lived some tea. I live on the harbor in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
She lived across from me on the opposite side of the harbor is the Ritz-Carlton Residencies. When she first joined this show last season, she was living in a penthouse at the Ritz-Carlton Residences. So wow. I don't know if they were renting that one as well, or if they owned it. First of all, I don't like paying rent in my 1-bedroom apartment that I live in right now, let alone paying rent.
That doesn't make any sense.
Properties.
But if he had that much money, why would he be renting even the home that they live in? Like, why would they be renting if you've had that much money for that? That suggests that you've had some financial turbulence and your credit is not able to sustain, but you have cash, right? But you don't have credit history. You don't have a history. It's a lot of things wrong with that are suggestive of scamming and some things not being on the up and up. But Mia doesn't do a good job of lying. I think the show is going to end up being the death of her.
Somebody just ping L. Michelle's comment. I will never forget that.
What did she say?
You don't have a home? When Giselle asked Monique that, and she said, "We actually have 4 homes."
She said, "But you don't own a home."
So yeah, she said, "You have a home," and then Monique said, "We actually have 4 homes. We're looking for one here." So
that is that. Hey, this show unbelievable. But that was. I'm sure we'll hear more of it. But I was just like, that's very strange, because I would think you get with the older guy, that means that he's
security.
Yeah, but it's not that. It's just some other stuff.
Yeah, to at least own one home. Like, there's always a debate about owning versus renting. Like, that's always an ongoing thing. But I would imagine that as you get older and as you have children, like they have 3 children together, one of them is like almost a teenager or should be a teenager, and they have all of these businesses, and most of them are like in between Maryland, DC, and Virginia. So you would imagine that they would have like one home base
at least.
Yeah, that you own or that you're consistently renting. But even if you rent, I just think that it's astronomical. To the house they were renting was $10,000 a month, and then she said
I'm okay with that.
$6,000 in decor.
I'm okay with them if they have to rent, because a lot of the housewives do, right? A lot of the housewives, most of them rent. But my thing is, why would you be renting multiple properties? That's weird. That suggests that you're doing some funny business. That just seems weird to me. So,
Giselle already threw the word out there, embezzlement. So,
embezzlement,
you know, what she was doing.
And somebody said that earlier, that Giselle, that was dangerous for her to say, but I don't think that was dangerous for Giselle to say. I think that's what everybody was thinking when we see that his brother basically sees the company from his own brother and his wife, then of course the word embezzlement comes to mind, or fraud, all those things. So I feel like Giselle was just, speaking what what most of the public would assume anyway in that situation. It's not like she planted that stuff like with Ashley, Ashley's husband, but it's unfortunate. Probably the only true thing that Mia said on the reunion last night was when Ashley mentioned that she's not into threesomes anymore. And then Andy literally was like, so obviously Mia doesn't feel that way. And she's like, yeah. I feel like whatever I did to get my husband, I have to keep doing to keep him. And that's real. So she's been honest.
Well, that and the part where she said, well, she said two things on the slide when Ashley was talking about how she's not getting anything from Michael in this divorce. She said she should have had a third baby and that she didn't secure the bag. And I said, well, okay, Mia, 2 points for you.
2 points for Mia. Because we know that Mia knows how to do that. So I would trust her with any type of scam or or lie or sexual expression.
Yes. Yes, those three areas.
Yeah, that's where she really, really is able
Thrive.
to. Right, she thrives in those areas. We didn't really hear much from the Grand Dame, you know. That was weird. I felt like Karen. Well, Karen and Robyn went back and forth a few times when Andy, mentioned that Robyn was married. I said before you got on, Brenda, that the team Robyn versus team Karen aged badly for me. It did. It aged very badly for me because
it's sad that it aged so quickly.
It
went
so quick.
2 days.
Literally within 48 hours, I was
out of that being on that side, and you wouldn't budge.
I was just so irritated with Karen. I could not see the foolishness behind Robyn's shenanigans, but we're not even here. I know we got to get ready to go, but I'm not even here for Robyn. When Andy asked Robyn, guys, he asked Robyn, how did she feel? She just got married. Like, you're a fresh newlywed. It had only been a couple of weeks, if that. And she says, "Oh, I felt like
before."
And she did not. You could tell she didn't really want to talk about it. She's definitely like not excited. It's clear. It's just not. This is such BS. So Karen like rolled her eyes and yawned and did all these.
Yeah, Karen didn't have to say anything because it aged well for Karen.
It did. I mean, that went quickly and horribly for Karen, but I'm sure we're going to get more into that. I can't wait for us to take this apart because one of the scenes, there's a scene where Robyn actually is defending Giselle, of course, and she says, "Well, can we just say
that it's not appropriate for a married man to be in a room with a single woman?" So you mean just like Juan was paying for single women's rooms? It's like, girl, think before you speak.
She was trying to come to Giselle's aid so hard that she ended up screwing herself when we just got proof that your husband, fiance at the time, was paying for a hotel room for some single woman that was supposedly extorting him. Like, come on. I
don't understand why. I'm glad that Andy spoke up, when he said his spiel about, maybe it's because I'm not heterosexual that I don't see a reason why specifically Gizelle and Chris could be in a room together, because they did have like a really friendly relationship. Right. But I wish other cast members would have been like, Robyn, shut up. Like,
yeah.
The fact that she even said, well, no, Giselle did tell me that like right after, and Candace kind of like fell back with Robyn and was like, yeah, you did tell me that. No. Get her together too.
Yeah.
She was about it at the same months before filming as well. So she's as complicit, which is why Wendy dragged her behind last season, because Robyn knows all of the stuff that's going to go down when it's going to go down. She just sits and she's quiet.
I think Wendy went after Robyn because Robyn's an easier target. I don't. Wendy would not go to bat with Giselle. I think she tries to go pick on somebody she feels like she can win with. I just, because really Robyn wasn't the one that was had the most issue with Wendy. It just went there, but I feel like that was an easy target.
No, I think Robyn is just as complicit, and I think that the reason that Wendy went hard on Robyn is because her and Robyn were actually friends. Yeah. And Robyn had sent her information about this blogger leaking stuff or whatever, privately. So she's like, you knew she was going to do all of this because the timelines of when all of this has happened was around the time you were sending me private messages. That's why I think Wendy went off on Robyn, because she's like, don't try to sit here and play in my face. Like, you're not innocent.
Yeah, she's not innocent, but I don't know. I think Wendy, we'll see. We'll talk more about that next week, because we'll get into more of that. Once they kind of, hopefully they'll uncover or at least refer to Robyn and this whole season of going after everyone else, and this whole issue with her and Juan happening the entire time, which is ridiculous. And how she was able to kind of keep that hidden, and then for her and Gizelle to go on reasonably shady and discuss it. So hopefully we'll be able to hear a little bit more of that. I just feel like Wendy is, I'll save that. I'll save that for next time, because we didn't hear very much from her. We didn't hear very much from her either, except, acknowledging that she did lie to Mia's face. But Mia lies so much, I don't even think she should call anybody out on a lie. Because it's just,
agreed.
girl, what are you doing? But I'm excited about next. Before we get out of here, what are your predictions for part 2? Where do you think we're going to see?
Wait, you missed one of the big arguments.
Which one?
You missed Candace calling Ashley out about her being a well-kept daughter.
Oh yes, that was so good. That was so good. Candace wrapped that up so good. I did forget about that, because she was like, well, hopefully. And I forgot that not Robyn, but Ashley actually had the nerve seasons ago to say Candace was the least accomplished.
She said that she was the least accomplished. She called her a house daughter.
Unbelievable. All the while and I feel like Ashley's family told her to go get this rich white man and, go after him to get the money. So the fact that she was actually going at Candace is unbelievable, considering she came from humble beginnings, but she was pretty and she used that to get where she wanted. But when Candace said, well, hopefully, you came at me because I come from generational wealth, and hopefully you'll be able to get that for your 2 boys. It was just the best comeback ever.
Candace is undefeated. Okay. Listen, no one, because normally, like, you've seen reads on Housewives. Phaedra can read you down.
Yeah.
But Phaedra lives a non-authentic life. Candace, from what we see, lives her truth.
Right.
Regardless if you like it or not. We all had something to say about, like, her living in a house that she, her mom, and her fiance at the time paid for. It is what it is.
But I would
rather have the security. Right. I would rather have the security, which I've always said. Like, that's one thing. I may have made some dumb decisions in the love department in my past. I may have put up with some BS, but I've always had my own. I've never had to rely on a man for anything. And that is the thing that I love that Candace's mom, Dorothy, has taught her. Listen, I got you. Yeah. You can always come back home. You always have a home to come back to. That is the underlying issue between Candace and Ashley.
Ashley, that's true. I didn't think about that. That's true, because Ashley is resentful because she doesn't have that type of support. Candace was a little spoiled, because she came off as a very spoiled, titled Black American princess the first couple of seasons, right? And we see her kind of growing up, maturing a little bit,
her and Chris starting to pay the mortgage without the mother-in-law. Them moving out of that townhome and getting their own home without the mother-in-law. Candace has grown up in front of our eyes, and she's not as young as she's smaller, but she's not as young.
That's true. That's true. She gets a pass because she's little. And I think also, I didn't like how she just came off as very spoiled, and how she would speak to Chris.
Definitely spoiled and entitled. Yeah. But I think that's one of the growing points for her, is that she has grown up, a lot on 4 or 5 seasons that she's been on the show now. Yeah. So that's admirable. And to basically, Candace didn't have to say anything. And I like the fact that she just said her sentence, and that was it. She didn't drag it out. Right. She said, and it was true. That really is true. That was the issue, is that you want to be able to provide, because a part of Ashley's, cries is, how am I going to take care of my 2 boys? I got these 2 boys. So, that's the thing. So you're right. I did. And I put that down in my notes, because I thought that was like, oh, that's gotta hurt. She definitely twisted that knife in there. Yeah. And she pulled it out, and she sat back with her feathers and went on about her merrily way. She didn't keep entertaining it, which is what I loved even more, because there was no comeback to it. Ashley sat there with her mouth open. All she could say was, yes, my boys will have a home. From Michael's money, not yours. Yeah. Well, hopefully. And then she just said, well, I'm very accomplished. I don't have to argue that. I apologize to Candace. So it's like, how are you? Giselle, I apologize.
What? Right. And that it's funny that Ashley and Giselle are actually like buddies.
Bosom buddies.
Yeah, that's interesting. But I know we got to get out of here, guys. We went through the hour Monday lunch. Thank you for hanging out with us. We had a good crowd today. And I'm looking forward to next Sunday. Hopefully we'll be able to do the Sunday night so we can get this right fresh as soon as the episode goes off. Hopefully Brenda and I can coordinate and get on live. But make sure that you guys like and share this. Make sure that you subscribe so you can tune in next Sunday. Also, we'll be back on Wednesday to talk about Married at First Sight because some things are definitely going crazy with that as well. So tune in for Brenda and I on Wednesday. I will be back today at 8 p.m. For Ready to Love. You know, we're talking to Johnny, the latest single to leave the cuffing season on OWN. And I will see you guys later. Thanks for hanging out with us.